Hey geometry students, this is our video on 5.1, which has to do with parallel lines, transversals, and angles. So today is going to be going over a lot of the vocabulary that we're going to be using throughout this next week. So it will seem like a lot of vocab, and that's okay. We're going to have all week to master this vocabulary, and this is all of the vocab that we're going to be getting for the week. So there will be nothing new after this. Okay, so for our learning targets, I can identify parallel lines, transversals, and skew lines. And then I can identify interior, alternate interior, consecutive interior, exterior, alternate exterior, consecutive exterior, and corresponding angles. So that does sound like a lot of vocabulary, but again, we're going to have all week to work on this together. So let's get started. So first we have parallel and skew lines. So parallel lines have the same slope and they will never intersect. So if lines are in a plane together, they can either be intersecting or they can be parallel. So for an example, just to kind of give us a visual here, lines A and B have the same slope and they are parallel. So they will never intersect each other. And some notation, these arrows that are in the middle of a line tell us that these two lines are parallel to each other. So the number of arrows that are on a line tell you what other lines it's parallel to. Another bit of notation, if we want to write out A is parallel to B, we don't want to have to constantly write the word parallel out. So we can just represent parallel with two lines. So we can go A is parallel to B with A, two lines, B. All right, so that's parallel. Now we have skew lines as well. So skew lines don't intersect, but they're also not parallel. So this means they're also in different planes, because if they don't have the same slope and they're in the same plane, they will intersect. So these are lines that are not in the same plane. They don't have the same slope, but they also don't intersect. So let's kind of get a picture of what that looks like. So in this example, lines AB and FH are not parallel, but they also are not going to intersect. So they are skew lines. They don't lie in the same plane. They don't have the same slope, but they're also never going to touch. So that would be skew lines. Okay, so now that we have parallel lines, let's talk about transversals. So a transversal is a line that intersects with a pair of parallel lines. So kind of a picture of what that looks like. In this picture, we've got the two black lines. They are parallel. And we also have this green line here. This green line is the transversal line. And when the transversal intersects with the parallel lines, they create 8 different angles. So we have angle A, B, C, and D, and we have angles E, F, G, and H. And so we're going to be coming up with different ways that we can classify the angles that happen when a transversal intersects with parallel lines. And something you might hear this called is a pair of parallel lines cut by a transversal. So when this transversal line intersects these, we call that parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay, so now let's kind of classify some of those angles that we got when a parallel cuts or when transversal cuts parallel lines. So we have interior angles and we have exterior angles. Interior are on the inside of the parallel lines that are cut by a transversal. Exterior are on the outside of the parallel lines that are cut by a transversal. So let's get a picture of this here. So the exterior angles are angles 1, 2, 8, and 7. So they're on the outside of the parallel lines. And then the interior angles are 3, 4, 5, and 6. They are on the inside of the parallel lines. So right here we've got the inside, they're interior, and we have the outside for exterior. All right, so we have interior and exterior. So let's go a little bit further now, classifying these angles. Now we can have alternate interior and alternate exterior. So alternate interior and exterior are either a pair of interior angles or a pair of exterior angles that are on alternating, which means opposite, sides of the transversal. And something important about these angles is that they have equal measure, the same amount of degrees. So in our example right here, we have angles 1 and 7, the green ones. Those are alternate exterior. They're both exterior. They're both on the outside of our parallel lines, but they're also both on opposite sides of our red transversal line. So that means they are alternate exterior. We also have angles 2 and 8, the blue ones. Those are also alternate exterior angles. And then we also have alternate interior angles. So angle 3 and angle 5 are interior. They're on the inside of the parallel lines, but they're also on opposite sides of our red transversal, so they are alternate interior angles. Same with angles 4 and 6. That's another pair of alternate interior angles. Okay, so now that we have alternate interior, we can also have consecutive interior and exterior angles. So this is either a pair of interior angles or a pair of exterior angles that are on the same side of the transversal. So alternate was on the opposite side of the transversal. Consecutive is the same side of the transversal. And these measures add up to 180, so they are supplementary to each other. So let's get a picture of this. In here we've got angle 1 and angle 7, the blue ones. Those are consecutive exterior angles. So they are on the same side of the transversal, and they are also exterior, so that makes them consecutive exterior. Angle 8 and angle 2 are also a pair of consecutive exterior angles. And then we also have consecutive interior angles. So we have angles 3 and 5, the green ones. They're both interior, but they're also both on the same side of the transversal. And then we have the same thing for 4 and 6, the purple ones. They are also interior and on the same side of the transversal, so they are also consecutive interior angles. So we have consecutive interior and we have consecutive exterior. Okay, our last piece of vocab for today is corresponding angles. So corresponding angles are one interior angle and one exterior angle that are on the same side of the transversal, and they have equal measure. So in this case, angle 2 and angle 6, the purple ones, are corresponding angles. So 6 is interior, 2 is exterior, and they're on the same side of the transversal, and they have equal measure. So angle 3 and angle 7 are also corresponding angles, the blue ones. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding, and angle 4 and angle 8, the green ones, are also corresponding. So that's corresponding angles. Okay, so did we meet our learning targets? So if we did, you should be able to name a pair of skew lines from this picture. You should also be able to tell me which of the two lines are parallel and which line is a transversal. And you should also be able to tell me an angle pair that are consecutive interior, an angle pair that is alternate exterior, and an angle pair that is corresponding. Okay, so hopefully we got a little bit of practice with 5.1 here. If you need to see the vocabulary again or would just like to watch this video to kind of help yourself practice, feel free to watch it again. But yeah, thanks for watching.